Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Battleships are moving platforms. They're constantly sailing, pitching, and rolling, and that doesn't even take into account things like waves breaking over the bow or even over the stern of the ship at high speeds, or battle damage, or things like flight operations, all of which can significantly impact things around the ship. Arguably nothing impacts things around the ship more than firing the guns. I absolutely love this footage from the 1980s of the battleship firing her guns, and one of the sailors' hats just disappears, even though he's on the 05 level, 5 stories away from where that gun is being fired. These tremendous forces acting upon the ship make it really difficult to keep things secured, especially stuff that you need ready access for. Stuff such as damage control equipment. So we're back here on the flight deck, one of the spaces where they assessed they had the highest risk of fires on the battleship. If a helicopter crashes, you've got a bunch of fuel lines back here. You've got, of course, whatever's on the helicopter itself. There's all sorts of possible damage that could occur. And so they've got equipment pre-positioned back here. And so you can see right here is a bracket that's very similar to brackets around the ship. It's just a metal loop where your tool can come out of. You see that a lot with spanner wrenches, and all sorts of other tools are mounted like that, especially for stuff inside the ship. That is normally more than enough with the ship rocking and rolling and things firing off and helicopters putting on tremendous downdraft to keep stuff from blowing away. A fire hose, on the other hand, while it's pretty heavy when it's charged or when you've got multiple sections of it tied together, a single spool of it isn't all that heavy. It's incredibly man-portable by design, and that means that things like helicopter downdraft or blast effect from the guns can unroll it pretty badly. Normally, a solution to this would be to have like 2 brackets like this and to loop the thing around, and then it's more or less secured in place. But the fire hose has to be rapidly deployed. And so you can see how it is flaked on here. So that it goes down like this, wraps back around, does a loop. So it's not making a complete loop under it. It's pretty easy to pull this off as you're moving to fight a fire. So we were asking the question, how was this secured against the ship rocking and rolling and everything else going on, but in such a way that's still rapidly deployable? And that's when we noticed these brackets at the bottom. Now, originally in service, we don't have any nowadays, but originally in service there would have been like a canvas strap that latched onto this that kind of just had a buckle, very similar to a web belt. And so that would be enough to strap it down with the unlashing that buckle and then pulling off hose being a really quick way to still get this deployed. I can confirm that the downdraft from a Black Hawk is enough to blow one of these off of the reel. However, oftentimes when you're doing flight ops, these would already be manned by a damage control party, but there would be multiple men on the hose that would already be stretched out and ready to go, so that if there is an incident during those flight operations, they're able to respond immediately. Most of the fire hose on the tour route nowadays is stuff that's been donated to us by local fire stations. We don't use it for its intended purpose anymore, so the fact that it's already lived a life and is worn out doesn't really matter to us. In fact, things like the end here, where it's been clearly dragged over pavement numbers of times in use, adds to the look of how it is supposed to be. What's something else you think is important to lash down on the battleship? It's kind of surprising walking around seeing things that aren't lashed down in any way. People are usually surprised that their game board tables aren't magnetic in any way. Our mess deck tables, there isn't really any way to secure trays or plates down. Let us know some of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, as well as from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.